Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Well, there's a lot of things to talk about today, so let's get right to it. First off, I want to talk about an update with regard to the Las Vegas alien incident from a few months back. As we all know, that was one of the cases which I believed was not a hoax, and the family, they have now stepped forward, and their names are now in public, and we know who they are. And it wasn't just Angel, but it was also his father and his brother who are saying in a recent Inside Edition segment that those three people saw extraterrestrial or non-human entities in their backyard who were 8 to 10 feet tall. Now, I'll leave the links for all this stuff so you can check it out for yourself. But here's an article from the Daily Mail. It says, Las Vegas family who claimed 2 10-foot tall green aliens landed in their backyard break cover as they doubled down on their story and produced drawings of what they saw. It's the Kenmore family, and it's in addition to Angel, he has his younger brother Joshua and also his father Bobby saw the beings. Apparently, it was his mother Contra. Angel's mother, Contra, who filmed the action that was going on in the backyard that day. As everyone knows, this is a story which I did not smell hoax, and I do not believe it is a hoax. I believe that these people were telling the truth because now they are doubling down. They appeared on this Inside Edition segment, and all three of the father and the two sons were asked to draw a picture of what they saw, and they did. Now, because of copyright concerns, I'm not going to show you those images from Inside Edition, but I did have my staff here at Quark Zone Extraterrestrial Reality come up with versions based on the images that were drawn, and as you can see, this is what we came up with here at the Quark Zone Extraterrestrial Reality, so you could check these out. This is what they look like. They look like something like we've seen before, except according to the family members, these beings were 8 to 10 feet tall. Anyway, here's an article about this. It says, the Kenmore family called 911 claiming a UFO with 2 aliens crashed in their backyard. These are just some of the highlights of this article. It says, a Las Vegas family of 4 are standing by their story that aliens crash-landed in their backyard and have even produced sketches of what they saw to back up their outlandish claims. Now they're saying that they crashed here. They're not saying that they crash landed. Apparently something landed. According to Angel, when you listen to him, the witnesses talking, they saw a light in the sky coming down, and something came down in their backyard. It's not a lot of people are saying out there, a lot of dum-dums, you hear them saying, oh, it crashed, where's all the pieces? Well, that's not what happened. Apparently, obviously, whatever this thing was, it came down, and it just came down hard, and they heard the noise. When they went to investigate, they saw beings in their yard. And anyway, here it says, I believe I saw something that wasn't from Earth, the youngest son Joshua said. Well, I skipped ahead here a little bit before that. It says, in an interview with Inside Edition, the Kenmore family, who went viral earlier this year after calling 911 to report the apparent invasion, stuck to their story. I believe I saw something that wasn't from Earth, the youngest son Joshua said. And then they also added new details to their far-fetched tale, claiming to have seen a black Chevrolet Suburban with government plates on it soon after they clapped eyes on their extraterrestrial pals. Of course, this Daily Mail article is making a joke out of the whole thing because the writer actually is obviously a total, absolute moron and idiot. Can't help himself. So because they don't believe it out of hand, they don't. Debunkers. There's certain people in among us, right, who don't accept this the reality that there's a non-human intelligence among us. Right, they just can't believe it. So their world is cartoons on TV, video games, the clouds in the sky, the trees outside, the grass on the ground, the cars driving down the street, etc., etc., etc. But other beings coming from other worlds, they can't believe that, so they make a fool out. They try to make a joke out of it. But there was reports, obviously, we talked about this before, that there were government cars that were driving by their home after this incident went public, several days after this incident happened. We've heard that before. It wasn't like that night they showed up, but they did. There was sightings of a car, vehicles that had government plates on them. Of course, the government's going to be interested in this story because, of course, obviously something happened there. These people weren't lying. You couldn't make something like this up. And it said, continuing here, it says, the family remained anonymous for months out of fear of being ridiculed. In their 911 call, they claimed that 2 giant aliens landed in their backyard in a UFO. Now, of course, you got to check out the Inside Edition link so you could watch the video with them talking about it. These people are telling the truth. They didn't make this stuff up. Just like my initial feeling on this was that this was not a hoax. It did not smell of hoax whatsoever to me. I believe that what these people are saying is absolutely true. I believe the original investigator for this, Doug Papa, who's a local podcaster there in Las Vegas, he claimed that it was a hoax. He thought it was a hoax. That guy's completely, absolutely, totally wrong. I don't think he did enough investigation into this, and I think he did a terrible job. Initially, he did a good job at bringing the story out to the public, but then he did a terrible job after that. Disservice. He presented information saying that it was a hoax, but he provided nothing to back up his claims that it was a hoax. Nothing. Anyway, continuing here, it says, Elder's son Angel also opened up about the unexpected attention the family had received. He said total strangers had since flocked to the house to see where the aliens landed and even climbed over the fence. They didn't want that publicity, attorney Sam Hidari said. The only thing they did was reporting it to the police. He was hired by the family to sue any trespassers if needed. When asked for his perspective on the Kenmore's claims, the lawyer said, I believe that they believed that it was real. Surrounded by film cameras, the family sat on their kitchen island where they were asked to draw what they recalled from memory. Now, of course, in addition to these drawings that I'm showing you here right now, these are based on the drawings that they showed. Two of the three drawings they showed during that Inside Edition segment, and one of them was from the father Bobby, and the other one was from Angel, and this was had this drawn up. But there was also, if you remember correctly, I had Scott Roeder, who was a crime scene reconstruction expert, on my show some months back, and he did a breakdown of the one segment of the video where it looked like there was some kind of a creature approaching the father and the two sons as they went into the backyard while the mother was filming. And he isolated this one segment. It was only a couple of seconds long where you could see this creature coming toward the family. I believe that these people were telling the truth then. I think that there was some parts of the story that may have been like there was talk of there was a surveillance camera that captured something, a loud noise, a bright flashing of noise, but that was something that happened a month before. That was put out there as that was something that was part of this story, which turned out to not be. But I believe that it's very possible that meteor that a lot of people were saying was a meteor, but maybe it wasn't. How do we know it was a meteor? Did any debunkers go out there and pick up the fragments? We don't know that. That might have. It was not long after that meteor was seen in the sky, captured on the vest of a Las Vegas police officer, right, where that 911 call came in, where this family contacted the police, and Angel was on the phone saying that there's alien beings in our backyard. Not long after that thing came down, after that light was seen in the sky. So maybe it wasn't a meteor after all. Where's the proof of that? How you would think, right? If there's scientists out there that are interested in this story, they should have been out at that house right after this happened, instead of sitting back and calling it a hoax, going along with the debunkers who didn't do any sort of investigation whatsoever and just dismissed it out of hand, like they always do. Anyway, continuing here. Okay, surrounded by film cameras, the family sat at their kitchen island where they were asked to draw what they recalled from memory. Bobby pointed out the glowing antenna-like ears and mouth full of gnashing teeth in his drawing. He said the being didn't appear to have a nose. Angel colored in his alien with gray pencil, noting that he was trying to keep the color accurate to what he had seen. He had said the alien had a ball of light beside it and stood with one leg bent. Angel gave an earlier account in a video posted to YouTube on June 8th. It garnered just under 1 million views in 3 months. This is not a conspiracy theory, Angel began by saying. I am not making this story up for clout or fame. No, I don't think that they were. I don't believe that anybody in this family was making it up. In fact, they didn't want anybody to bother with them. But I think obviously, who knows, Inside Edition might have offered them some money to appear in this segment, but they wouldn't have done it. I think they want to get their story out there. I believe that this family wants to get their story out there. They want people to know that this is no hoax. We weren't kidding about this. I do not believe that they were kidding about it. I actually believe the story. I don't care what anybody says. On the evening of May 1st, the then 16-year-old explained he and his brother heard something falling from the sky before observing a flash of light. They felt the impact of something hitting the ground, followed by a loud bang. Angel said they were then hit with a shockwave, likening the sensation to an out-of-body experience. He said the entire backyard was blurry when he tried to look to at the fallen object, and he heard thousands of footsteps all around him before the blurriness subsided. A police officer's body cam captured a greenish light blazing through the sky on the same evening. As the officer stood speaking to a neighbor, the light could be seen spiraling from the sky and trailing behind a house. Angel's story was further corroborated by footage from a neighbor's Ring camera, which captured a whooshing sound and an enormous bang. Now, of course, that part of the story shouldn't even be part here. Initially, that was thought to be part of that was something that happened that night, but it turned out later that it wasn't. And then it says here, the teen said he could make out a tall, very thin creature standing between 8 and 10 feet tall. Panicking, he called Bobby, his father, to the backyard, who told him to go inside. Later, Angel and Joshua went to retrieve Angel's toolkit when Joshua told him, "Look behind the forklift." Angel said he froze as soon as he saw the creature, describing it as the same experience as having sleep paralysis. Of the alien's appearance, the boy said he has weird-looking feet and a big face and eyes, and you could see a big mouth. I could hear his loud, deep breathing and see his stomach move. He fled to the house and called police. There's like an 8-foot person, and it has big eyes, and it's looking at us, he said to the operator in the viral 911 call. I swear to God, it's not a joke. Well, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but we all know the story, and I'm just here to tell you that this family now, we know who they are. They're Kenmores, and they're on the record, and the father and 2 sons are now stating that they all saw this creatures in the backyard, and they drew drawings on it for this Inside Edition segment, and so there you go. There's still no evidence that this was a hoax. It doesn't make any sense as a hoax. Why would anybody want to do something like that? Why would anybody risk calling 911 for some kind of a hoax like this? Risk going to prison for something like this? I do not believe that. I believe that this family was telling the truth by the 911 call, and also because of the Scott Roeder's presentation showing that creature when they walked into that backyard. You cannot fake something like that. You can't fake that kind of surprise at the same time. Everybody moving at the same time, backward and out, as something you could see was approaching them. They said it was 8 to 10 foot tall. I believe every word that they're saying. Something was in that backyard that night, and these people were not lying. That's my position on it, and I stand by it. These people are telling the truth, and I'm really happy actually that they finally have talked about it. That they've come forward to give us more information about this. I think it's great. So that's where I stand on this. Now, moving on, I want to talk about what happened with NASA. Now, NASA just yesterday, they released a new report, and then today they had a news conference where they talked about how their UAP study is going. It was interesting. They actually had a question and answer segment, and at one point during the hearing today, James Fox, filmmaker James Fox, who's made several documentaries on the UFO phenomena, asked some questions, and here's that segment.
2 quick questions. One is, how can we make the determination of what something isn't when we don't know what it is? And B, after a careful review of the data, if it's determined that some, underline the word some 10 times, UFOs or UAP originate from a non-human intelligence, what's the plan to disclose that to the public?
And can you identify yourself, please?
James Fox. Thank you.
I'm sorry, and what outlet?
Independent media. Thank you.
Well, let me repeat.
It's on.
Let me repeat what I said. I think it's important that you hear this word for word. The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin, but we don't know what these UAP are. The mission of NASA is to find out the unknown. I've said several times in my comments here today that we, NASA, deal openly, and we will be transparent on this. And we're trying to address the question of there's so much concern that there's something locked up, classified. and that the American government is not being open. Well, we are the American government, and we are open, and we're going to be open about this. We don't, again, I'm going to repeat that statement, but we don't know what these UAP are, but we're going to try to find out.
Thank you very much. And is there a plan in place if it is determined that some of them represent or originate from a non-human intelligence to tell the public? Is there a plan, or?
If we are what I said we intend to be, which is transparent, you bet your boots. We will say that. And I've tried to set the table for you by telling you what I personally believe in a universe that is so vast that could there be a replication of life on Earth elsewhere in another solar system that is so big? Of course I believe that. The distances, it would have to be a very advanced civilization. The distances, light years, hundreds of light years, billions of light years. But whatever we find, we're going to tell you.
Thank you very much.
So as you see, as the NASA chief, Bill Nelson says, you can bet your boots they're going to share it with us if it's extraterrestrial. You can bet your boots. Now, I want to talk about what's been going on here. Okay, I'm going to read a little piece of an article here from USA Today about this conference today, and also the new report. They have a new 36-page report that was released yesterday on its findings. And it says here, for those who were hoping NASA's UFO news briefing would uncover secrets about extraterrestrials, you may be disappointed. Well, let me just stop right there, right out of the gate. Anyone who in the UFO community would have to be a complete, absolute fool if they thought that NASA was going to reveal any extraterrestrial secrets in their report or on during their news briefing. I think there's nobody in the UFO community who would believe that was going to happen. No, there's still no evidence that alien spaceships have visited Earth, but on Thursday, NASA vowed to continue studying the UFO phenomenon using new scientific techniques. I beg to differ with that. I just want to stop there. There is evidence, but a lot of the evidence we don't get to see because it's been covered up for many, many decades. So I just want to point that out. Yeah, I don't buy that one. And besides, there is evidence. I've seen it with my own eyes. Actually, there's evidence that alien spaceships have visited Earth. I've seen one of the craft with my own. These two eyeballs in my head right here. Those two eyeballs back in 1994 saw a craft that wasn't. There's no way it was made by humans, right? And back in the 70s, these two eyeballs saw a creature, right? And there was many other people that have these experiences too. But anyway, I digress. In a long-awaited report, experts commissioned by the new space agency outline ways in which NASA can partner with the United States government and private commercial organizations to better study and understand unidentified flying objects. Long considered a fringe topic, UFOs have increasingly become part of the mainstream discussion as reports and videos of objects maneuvering in strange ways captivate the public. Many of those reports can often be explained as balloons, drones, and even commercial airplanes, but absent a commonplace terrestrial explanation, it is not uncommon for UFO enthusiasts to eagerly jump to the conclusion that otherworldly beings are visiting Earth. Oh boy, I just love how they do this, right? They always make it that they sound like these people in the UFO community, people who have seen UFOs or encountered extraterrestrials, or they always make them look like they're these eager goofballs. They that's how the tone of it always is, isn't it? Anyway, continuing here, it says, because of the potential threat posed by national security and air safety, NASA embarked in 2022 on the space agency's first ever study of UFOs, which the agency refers to as unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. But NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said at a news briefing Thursday that the agency also set out to shift the conversation surrounding UAP from sensationalism to science. There's a global fascination with UAP, Nelson said in prepared remarks. We are looking for signs of life, past and present. It's in our DNA to explore and ask why things are the way they are. And then it talks about who's on this panel. NASA commissioned an independent panel of 16 experts in June 2022 to examine data related to UAP. Led by astrophysicist David Spergel, president of the Simons Foundation in New York City, the team was made up of some of the world's leading scientists, data and artificial intelligence practitioners, and aerospace safety experts. After hosting a public panel in May, the team on Thursday released a comprehensive 36-page report of its findings. As promised, the report was not a review of previous UAP incidents. Instead, the report detailed the reasons that data surrounding the study of UAP has previously been so insufficient, while providing a roadmap on what possible data could be collected in the future. Grainy videos of unidentified objects may provide intrigue online, but without more detailed observations, the panel said that meaningful scientific conclusions about the nature of the objects remains impossible. The report provided recommendations to create a uniform process by which NASA, other government agencies, and commercial entities with satellites and other imaging technologies can gather and share data about one of our planet's greatest mysteries, NASA Associate Administrator Nicola Fox said at the briefing. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of this article, but I'll leave the link for you. But there was something else that happened here today with regards to this. NASA, during this hearing, they were asked, one of the reporter there asked that they're going to tell the public who the name of their new director is going to be for UAP research, and they said they weren't going to do it. But then just hours later, they put something on their website, and it's some guy named Mark McInerney. He's going to be the new director of UAP research. And it says McInerney previously served as NASA's liaison to the Department of Defense, covering limited UAP activities for the agency. In the director role, he will centralize communications resources and data analytical capabilities to establish the robust database for the evaluation of future UAP. He also will leverage NASA's expertise in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and space-based observation tools to support and enhance the broader government initiative on UAP. Since 1996, he has served various positions at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the National Hurricane Center. So we'll see how this new director does. We'll give him a chance. We'll give him a shot. We'll see if he turns into another Sean Kirkpatrick, or maybe he'll be something special. We'll find out. Maybe he'll turn out to be somebody who's sick of this nonsense and sick of the cover-up, and maybe who knows? But I don't know. It looks like he's already been within the government for a long time, and you know how bureaucracy works. So I doubt it. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to point out that Richard Dolan, of course, UFO historian, he tweeted out a couple of things here. Wasn't too impressed by what was being said here. Let's see, he tweeted out today. He says NASA dismisses decades of data on UFO phenomena, advocating for a fresh start. 80 years of records from government, military, and contractors overlooked. It's as if they're saying nothing to see here. And then in another tweet, he said, looks like NASA's pulling a Men in Black on us. 80 years of UFO data, apparently just dust in the cosmic wind. Time for a clean slate, they say. Or maybe we're all just living in a simulation. So basically what Dolan's talking about here is basically NASA said that all this stuff, after 80 years, they have no idea. They have no good evidence whatsoever. They're not going to look at the stuff in the past. They're going to focus on the future. And this is one of the concerns that people like, especially UFO historians, have, like Dolan, because it seems like they want to erase the things that happened in the past and move forward from this point forward, basically from 2004 on. Everything that happened before that, there's nothing to that, right? They'll keep the secret of Roswell till the end of time. We'll never be allowed to see those records, because then of course that would show that the government's lying, along with all the other records, not just Roswell. But so that's that's where we are with that, with NASA. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. Hey, we should be happy, actually, that NASA is talking about this at all. Basically, we do have a lot of people to thank for this. We have Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, the release of those Pentagon videos in 2017, which basically kickstarted all of this. I mean, that basically to have the fact of the fact that NASA is actually talking about UFOs, and they have a UFO study ongoing and a new director for this. I mean, that's something, isn't it? I mean, that's great. I mean, is all of this just something to calm the public down and basically spoon feed them nothing for the next 10 years, 20 years, like Project Blue Book did, or is it something they're finally going to admit the truth at some point here? Who knows? I do feel like people in government, for the most part, are lying to us all the time. When I see their faces talking on TV, because of my personal knowledge and all the books I've read and the research I've conducted, every time I see a government official from NASA, from the Department of Defense, whenever I see them on TV talking, I just think to myself, wow, another liar. I'm being lied to right now. That's how I feel. I can't help it. Please don't hold it against me. Anyway, moving on to one more thing. I want to touch on some things with regard to that previous podcast where I talked about this Mexico UFO hearing where Jaime Maussan and along with some biologists presented those dead corpses, alleged alien corpses, and there's been a lot of interesting stuff that's happened since then. Now, of course, if you had Ryan Graves, who was also at that hearing in Mexico, was very upset after it was over, and he said he didn't know that, and he thinks that sets this whole process back for the whole disclosure process. So that he thought it was something to regret. And Chris Lato, who has a really good YouTube channel, he talks about UFOs all the time. He had a story yesterday, a video entitled "It Happened." Mexico unveils two alien bodies, and in that video I watched it yesterday, and he was all gung ho on this. He was, but now he actually took that video down because he thinks he sees that, hey, we got to hold off here. We can't go jumping on this ship here because we have to remember the past here when it comes to Jaime Maussan. And here was a tweet that Chris put out today. He wrote, "I took my it happened, Mexico unveils two alien bodies down. It was a viral video for me also because I was so excited in the video that I broke the news before other people. But I didn't know this was previously revealed. After your feedback and when Ryan Graves spoke out against the showing as a stunt, I took the video down. I assumed the science was legit, but that still needs to be seen. We should still investigate the bodies." At today's NASA conference, Chair David Spergel was asked about the bodies and suggested they share the samples with the international community and NASA will check it out. "This is a great way to practice intergovernmental cooperation, and who knows, maybe the debunkers are incorrect. There is a ton of misinformation in this field. My goal is the truth, and while it is my number one climbing video over the last 3 months, damn you scammers, I don't feel right about spreading more suspect data, so unlisted it. Check out my NASA live hearing video." Okay. So he basically unlisted his video. Which is good. I mean, that's, to me, that was, I think more investigation is needed, and that's where I stand on this issue, on those bodies. And I want to apologize. Yesterday, in my previous podcast, I kept on referring to these things as mummies, but apparently I shouldn't have been saying that. They're not mummies; they're complete bodies that were preserved, and they were found in Peru. So I want to correct that. They're not mummies. But we don't know what they are. There needs to be some sort of independent group of biologists and DNA experts, whatever, that looks at this and comes up with a determination. I mean, this could be a giant story. I don't know, but based on Maussan's past, right? But I'm not going to go through it again. I went through it yesterday, right? But based on his past, how could you trust him? That's where I stand with it. But here's one of the things I wanted to point out now. Mick West on September 13th was talking about Robert Salas. Robert Salas, of course, he was one of the witnesses to the 1967 Malmstrom UFO incident that happened in Montana, where a flying saucer showed up and basically shut down a bunch of nuclear missiles. And in reference to, because Solis was very, he thinks that there's something to these bodies, these alien bodies that Maussan presented yesterday. And he writes on Twitter on September 13th, Mick West says, Robert Solis is one of the people behind the UFOs are messing with our nukes nonsense. So I suppose it makes sense that he bought into the Mexican look at these alien bodies nonsense too. That's terrible. That's terrible. So, I mean, this guy, Mick West, these people, they do not investigate anything. Nothing, ever. You know, going back to that, I want to go back to that Las Vegas story, the one that was from the Daily Mail. You know, toward the end of this article, which I didn't read the whole article, but in that article, they have a quote in here from Mick West. It says here, Mick West, the writer who specializes in debunking false conspiracy theories, was brought on Inside Edition to refute the family's claims. He said an alternate explanation could be a raccoon sitting atop the fence, hence the big eyes, or even a coyote. Okay. Let me just stop there for a second. Why is this guy, Mick West, being contacted by Inside Edition to refute the family's claims? Why is that? I don't understand. Why this guy's a video game programmer. He didn't do any investigation into this. He comes on and says it could have been a raccoon sitting on top of a fence. I mean, who the hell is this guy? Why is the mainstream media giving credence to people like Mick West, Neil deGrasse Tyson all the time? People who they do zero research. Like, although I made clear in that video about the bodies, the alien bodies in Mexico, right? I made it clear that I have big time problems with Jaime Maussan, right? Big time problems. But I don't know if they're real or fake. They could be fake, and if they're fake, it's going to be terrible for Maussan. But we need to investigate it because it could be real. I don't know. How could Mick West know? But he walked away from that story without ever even investigating. He called it a hoax and walked away. He did the same thing with the Vegas alien story. He looked at it for 5 minutes and then puts a tweet on Twitter saying that it's a hoax without any investigation. And this guy, they're going to him all the time. He doesn't investigate anything. He makes proclamations. Why are people always talking to this guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Him or any of these other idiotic debunkers. Neil deGrasse Tyson has study none of this stuff. I'm really angry with the mainstream media for this. Why are they bringing these people in? Inside Edition contacts this guy, Mick West, a video game programmer who does nothing, no research whatsoever, proclaims things. They need to have real researchers show up and investigate these things, which should have happened with the Vegas alien story right after it happened. That should have happened, but obviously it didn't. And now the same thing with this. You know, I mean, the Jaime Maussan, it could be a hoax. I don't trust Jaime Maussan. I made that pretty much clear in my previous podcast. However, right, there were other people. It wasn't just him. There were scientists there that were saying this is non-human. So we need to have other experts come in and look at this to confirm it. That's all. How it's unscientific not to. So I'm sick of the way this is the way we handle these things. It's just incredible to me that we keep going to morons who do no research. Morons. Mick West is a moron. He has no business. Why is the mainstream media talking to this idiot all the time? Why is he deemed as some sort of expert just because he's a loud mouth on Twitter? He doesn't do anything. He's dumb. Anyway. Okay, I'm getting really angry here because I'm mad at how we continue to handle this. We need real scientists in here, not Mick West. He's not a scientist, or not some personality like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, sell your 3D space books. That's good, but don't talk about UFOs. Get out of here because you don't know what you're talking about. Along with all these other dopes. It's time we need to stop all this nonsense. What's going on here? Get some real experts in here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. I'm as skeptical as anybody when it comes to those bodies down in Mexico. But I don't know for sure. I think we need to look at them and prove that it's a hoax. Get someone down there and prove it that it's a hoax. Anyway, I want to say thank you for joining me. Until next time.